Some of the most boring businesses in the world quietly make money around the clock. No staff, no storefront, no social media presence, nothing. Some of these businesses are tiny machines sitting in the corner of a mall. Others are unglamorous real estate plays that most people walk past without a second thought. None of them are exciting. That is the point. And the number one business on this list? Most people ignore it completely. It looks almost too simple to work, but it may be one of the most powerful passive income businesses that exists. Let's count them down. Number 11. Coin-operated massage chair business. This is one of the simplest passive machine businesses you will ever come across. You find a high-foot traffic location, a mall, an airport terminal, a cinema lobby, a gym waiting area. You place a coin-operated massage chair, you set the price, and then you leave. Someone sits down, inserts payment, and the chair does the work. You are not there, you are not needed. The machine runs the transaction from start to finish, completely without you. The economics are straightforward. A single chair might charge a few dollars for a few minutes. Multiply that across dozens of sessions per day, and you have a machine generating income with very little involvement from the owner. But here's the honest part. The ceiling on this business is low. One chair in one location has limits, and those limits do not stretch far. You are also dealing with maintenance because mechanical massage chairs break down, and sanitation because people will not pay to sit in a chair that looks unclean. Finding and keeping high-foot traffic locations is its own challenge, and the revenue per machine rarely hits life-changing levels on its own. This is not a path to serious wealth, but as a first look at how passive machine businesses work, it makes sense to start here. The idea is simple. A machine does a job, a stranger pays for it, and the money comes in without you standing next to it. That idea scales. As you go further down this list, it scales a lot. Number 10. Coin-operated kiddie rides. If you have ever been in a mall or a supermarket with a small child, you already know exactly how this works. There is a small plastic horse, or a little fire truck, or a miniature helicopter near the entrance. The child sees it, the child wants it. The parent puts in a coin or a card, the ride bounces for 60 to 90 seconds, and then it stops. Sometimes the child wants to go again. That small transaction is the entire business model. The nostalgia angle matters here too. These machines have been around for decades, and they keep working because the target customer, a distracted parent trying to manage a young child, has not changed. Good locations include supermarkets, family restaurants, malls, shopping centers, and anywhere that sees consistent family foot traffic. The upside is that the business is genuinely simple. There is no complex technology. Maintenance is manageable. The machines are not expensive relative to what a vending route or a laundromat costs. And once the machines are placed, they generate income without much daily attention. The downside is also real. These machines are very location dependent. A good spot can make a machine profitable. A weak spot makes it a decoration. And in areas where in-person retail traffic has declined, the income potential has declined with it. The upside ceiling is limited, but for what it is, a small, quiet, coin-fed machine, it works. And if you think that is simple, the next business on this list is even more invisible. Number 9. Locker rental business. People carry things, and sometimes they do not want to carry them anymore. That is the entire problem that locker rental businesses solve. Travelers at train stations who do not want to haul luggage around a city. Beachgoers who want to swim but have nowhere safe to leave their belongings. Visitors at theme parks who do not want to pay for bag storage every single ride. Shoppers in busy districts who want to leave their bags somewhere before going to dinner. Lockers charge for a simple thing, the ability to set something down and walk away, knowing it will still be there. The best locations for this business are tourist-heavy areas, beaches, theme parks, water parks, train stations, airports, and busy shopping or entertainment districts. Anywhere that people are carrying things and would rather not be. The revenue model is per use, a fixed fee for a set number of hours with overages charged automatically in modern smart locker systems. Some operators run fully automated setups using app-based or kiosk-based rentals, which removes nearly all staffing costs. The hidden downside is this: demand is almost entirely location dependent. A perfect locker location can be quietly profitable. A slightly wrong location can sit empty for hours. Vandalism is a recurring issue, location permissions can be difficult to secure, and in places where foot traffic is low, the business simply does not work. This one is underrated, but getting the location right is everything. Number 8. Coin-operated arcade game machines. Arcade games make money because they are fun, and fun is something people are always willing to pay for, even just for a few minutes. The business model here is not complicated. You own or lease one or more arcade machines. You place them somewhere people already spend time: a bar, a laundromat, a family entertainment center, a a pizza shop, a bowling alley, a movie theater lobby. People play. Money comes in, you collect it periodically. The machines that tend to hold up best are the classic ones: air hockey, racing games, classic fighting games, because they do not feel dated in the way that some newer machines quickly can. Nostalgia plays a role here, especially in bars and retro-themed venues. Revenue sharing with the location owner is standard. You might keep 50 to 60% of the machine's earnings, with the location taking the rest in exchange for the floor space and foot traffic. But here's where most beginners get this business wrong. They focus on the machine and not the placement. A great machine in a dead location is a write-off. A middling machine in a busy bar with no other entertainment options? That machine can earn consistently for years. The other downside is mechanical. Arcade machines need maintenance, parts break, screens fail, and as home gaming becomes more sophisticated and accessible, getting people to pay for an arcade experience requires the right setting. Still, this is a stronger earning model than kiddie rides, because the per-play value is higher and the demographic is broader. But the list is about to get more serious. Number 7. Photo booth business. Here is something that separates this business from everything above it. People are not just paying for a product, they are paying for a memory. That emotional component changes the economics. Photo booths work at weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, school formals, night markets, tourist spots, malls, and entertainment venues. The experience, posing, printing, holding the physical photo strip, is part of what people are paying for, not just the image itself. There are two versions of this business, and they are very different. The first is the event rental model. You own a photo booth, you hire it out for events, you show up or arrange delivery, and you collect a flat rate or hourly fee. Margins can be very strong here. A single weekend booking at a wedding can cover a machine's running cost for the month. But this version is not passive. It requires coordination, transport, setup, and customer communication. The second is the permanent placement model. A booth placed in a mall, a tourist attraction, or an entertainment venue runs continuously without your involvement. This version is more passive, but it is highly location dependent and requires negotiating a revenue share or lease agreement with the venue. The best operators often combine both: permanent booths providing steady baseline income and event bookings driving higher revenue spikes. The downside is that truly passive income from this business requires excellent placement, and those spots are competitive. Still, the margins are real and the demand is not going away. But compared to what comes next, this is still in the small machine category. Number 6. Claw machines. Let's be honest about what claw machines actually are. They are suspense delivery devices with a prize attached. The claw drops, it grabs, it almost lifts the toy, and then it lets go. That almost win feeling is the product, and people keep paying for it because the next time, they might actually get it. From an operator's perspective, the machine controls the win rate. Prize costs, win percentages, and payout ratios are all adjustable. A well-configured machine in a good location can return strong margins because the built-in psychology of the game keeps people playing. Good locations for claw machines include malls, cinemas, arcades, family restaurants, supermarkets, and tourist-heavy areas, anywhere with foot traffic and idle time. Families with children are the core demographic, but adults play too, especially in entertainment environments. The challenges are real. Prize inventory needs restocking. Machines need maintenance. In some places, the gaming mechanics of claw machines have attracted regulatory scrutiny, and customer frustration can damage reputation if a machine feels obviously unfair rather than just challenging. The business also requires periodic visits for restocking and maintenance, so it is not fully passive, but it earns more per interaction than most of the machines above it, and its visual presence draws attention in a way that a massage chair or a locker simply does not. This is still a small machine business, but now we are leaving small machines behind. Number 5 at ATM machines. This is where the list gets serious. An ATM machine makes money every single time someone uses it. The owner earns a transaction fee, usually somewhere between $1 and $4 per withdrawal, depending on location and setup. The customer pays the fee, the bank processes the transaction, and the ATM owner collects. That is it. The machine just sits there and earns. The best locations for privately owned ATMs are places where people have cash in their hands or need it fast. Bars, nightclubs, convenience stores, gas stations, tourist areas, casinos, event venues, and cash-heavy small businesses. The logic is simple. If a person needs cash and your ATM is the only one nearby, they will use it. High-volume locations can make an ATM quietly lucrative. A machine doing 50 to 100 transactions per day at $2 per transaction is generating real monthly income with no daily labor from the owner. But here's what makes this business harder than it looks on paper. Cash needs to be loaded regularly, which creates a security concern and a logistics requirement. The machine needs to be serviced when it breaks or jams. Compliance with financial regulations matters, and the relationship with a banking partner or processor is critical to getting set up. Theft risk, especially in lower security locations, is a genuine consideration, and in some markets, declining cash usage is a headwind that is hard to ignore. This is a boring, almost invisible business. In the right location with the right setup, it runs with very little daily effort. And the next business is something most people have considered at some point, but rarely understand how far it can actually go. Number 4, vending machine business. This is the classic entry point for most people when they first discover passive income machines. The concept is familiar. A machine sells snacks, drinks, coffee, or specialty products. Customers insert payment, make a selection, and the product drops. No cashier, no staff, no store hours. The machine handles the transaction at any time of day or night. The reason vending machines are famous in passive income conversations is because the model actually works. Offices, gyms, schools, universities, hospitals, factories, apartment complexes, warehouses, these are all places where people want food and drinks without making a trip outside, and a vending machine fills that gap. A single well-placed machine in a busy office can generate a few $100s per month. Operators with large routes, 20, 30, 50 machines, can build a business generating serious income, with the main inputs being restocking runs and occasional maintenance. Specialty vending has also expanded the model. There are now machines selling electronics accessories, personal care products, fresh food, ice cream, flowers, and more. Each niche has its own demand profile and margin structure, but this is where the downside matters. Restocking is not optional. Products expire, machines break, bad locations produce almost no income, and theft, both from customers and during restocking, is a recurring cost in this business. The honest position of vending machines on this list: they are scalable, familiar, and genuinely capable of generating passive-style income. But they require more management than they look like they need from the outside. Still, they are stronger than everything above them, because now we are moving into businesses that solve recurring human needs, not just wants. Number 3, laundromat business. This is where the character of this list changes. A laundromat is not a fun business to own. It is not exciting to talk about. There is nothing flashy about a room full of washing machines and dryers humming in a strip mall. And that is exactly why it works. Laundry is not optional. People do not stop needing clean clothes when the economy slows. They do not stop when they are busy or tired or traveling. The need is recurring, predictable, and permanent. A well-located laundromat can generate strong, consistent cash flow because it is filling a need that repeats itself every single week for every single customer. And once a laundromat builds a regular customer base, that base tends to stay. Modern laundromats are not what they were 20 years ago. Card payment systems have replaced coin slots in many locations. Wash and fold services add a higher margin revenue stream. Vending machines for detergent and snacks sit inside the space. App-based machine reservations and loyalty programs now exist. Some operators have added pickup and delivery services to extend their reach entirely outside the physical location. The startup cost is real, equipment is expensive, plumbing and utility costs are significant. Lease negotiations matter enormously. Repairs will happen because machines that run all day every day eventually need attention. But the core model, recurring revenue from a service people need every week, is difficult to replicate with a vending machine or a claw machine. This is boring wealth, and it only gets more serious from here. Number 2, self-service car wash. A self-service car wash is interesting because of who does the work, the customer. In most businesses, you either staff the work yourself or you automate it. A self-service car wash offers a third option. The customer does the physical labor and they pay for the privilege of doing it using your equipment, your water, your soap, and your space. The business sells access, not service, and that distinction matters. A car wash with self-service bays, automatic wash tunnels, vacuum stations, and detailing areas can generate income from multiple revenue streams simultaneously from the same piece of real estate. Some operators add membership models, a flat monthly fee for unlimited washes, which creates predictable recurring revenue and strong customer retention. The locations that work best have good road visibility, easy access, and are situated where cars are already a dominant part of daily life. Proximity to busy roads, gas stations, or retail centers makes a strong difference. The downsides are worth naming clearly. Land and equipment costs are significant. Water usage creates both an operational cost and, in some regions, a regulatory issue. Equipment breaks and car wash equipment is not cheap to repair. Seasonality affects demand in cold or wet climates, and local competition from full-service washes or new automatic washes can pressure pricing. But when the model works, and in the right location, it does, a self-service car wash runs largely on its own. Customers come in, pay at a kiosk, do their own wash, and leave. The business owner collects revenue without being present for most of it. The combination of automation, repeat customers, and real estate makes this one of the strongest entries on this list. But it is still number 2, because the top spot belongs to something even more powerful and even more boring. Number 1, self-storage facility. Most people walk past a self-storage facility and think nothing of it. A row of metal doors, a security gate, a keypad, fluorescent lighting, no staff visible. It looks like the least interesting thing you could own. It is also, for many owners, one of the most powerful income-generating businesses in the boring category. Here is why. People rent storage units and then they forget about them. Not literally, they know the unit is there. But the urgency to stop paying fades quickly once the boxes are dropped off and the door is locked. The stuff inside does not feel urgent. The monthly charge feels small, and so months pass and then years without the customer doing anything except quietly renewing. That is not an accident. That is a structural feature of the business. Self-storage customers are famously sticky. Average tenancy in the industry is measured in months and years, not days and weeks. And that stickiness translates directly into long-term recurring revenue with very low churn. The model scales well. A single facility with 50 or 100 units of various sizes, small units for boxes and seasonal items, larger units for furniture, climate-controlled units for sensitive goods, outdoor spaces for vehicles and boats, generates income from multiple customer types simultaneously. Staffing requirements are low. Modern facilities use keypad-coded gates, surveillance cameras, and app-based or online rental systems that allow customers to rent, pay, and access their units without interacting with a human being at all. Some facilities operate without a full-time on-site employee. The types of customers are also diverse. Individuals going through a move or a renovation, small businesses storing inventory or equipment, collectors, hobbyists, people dealing with estates. The demand base is wide and it is not tied to a single industry or a single economic trend. And unlike a vending machine or an ATM, a self-storage facility is real estate. It appreciates. It can be financed. It can be sold. It exists as a physical asset on a piece of land that holds value independent of the income the business generates. The entry barriers are real. Land and construction, nor the acquisition of an existing facility, requires significant capital. Financing is part of nearly every serious entry into this business. Local market saturation matters. Some areas are oversupplied with storage facilities, and margins are under pressure. Security, insurance, and occasional vacancy are ongoing considerations, but the business that works, a well-located, decently managed storage facility in an area with a real demand, does something that very few other businesses on this list can match. It collects money from hundreds of customers every single month without requiring much of anything from the owner on a daily basis. That is the definition of boring. And it is also, for a lot of people who have figured this out, the definition of wealth. Here is the real takeaway from this entire list. The boring part is not a weakness. It is the advantage. Every business on this countdown, and from the small massage chair in the mall corner to the storage facility full of other people's belongings, works because it solves a simple, persistent human problem. People need convenience. People need storage. People need clean clothes and clean cars. People need access to their money. People want small comforts, a few minutes of entertainment, a safe place to leave their bags. None of these are glamorous needs, and that is exactly why the businesses that serve them are so reliable. The most exciting businesses attract the most competition, the most attention, and the most pressure. Boring businesses get overlooked. They sit quietly in strip malls and parking lots and airport terminals, solving the same problem they have always solved while the money comes in. If this breakdown changed the way you think about where income actually comes from, consider that the next one might too. If you want more breakdowns of boring businesses that quietly make money, subscribe. There are a lot more of them than most people realize.